Good evening, folks. I'm Rex.
And I'm Rita. Why do you always have to introduce yourself first, Rex?
I don't know, maybe because I'm always ready and eager to get to the news.
Or maybe because you just love hearing yourself talk.
Hey, I resent that. I'm a professional news anchor, Rita.
Oh, I know, Rex. Just like I know that you secretly love those cheap tabloid magazines.
What? That's ridiculous. You're just jealous that I can appreciate the finer things in life.
Fine things, huh? Yeah, like that god-awful Hawaiian shirt you're wearing.
Hey, this is a great shirt. You're just too uptight, Rita.
Sure. You keep telling yourself that, Rex.
When Captain John Smith pulled up to the shore in his boat, he couldn't have imagined the surprise that lay tied up to the dock. His wife Stacy had purchased a large new boat and shipped it to their home as a surprise. Feeling like he was living in a pun, John couldn't help but laugh as he took a look around their new vessel. Even the name was humorous, fits in a basement, but it was just the right size for them. John and Stacy were ecstatic with the new boat, and the next morning the two of them set sail for the horizon with a smile. It looks like nothing will be able to hold these two captains back.
Last night, an old fuel warehouse near the small town of Dolesville caught fire while a group of firefighters were attempting to tackle the blaze. Soon the inferno threatened to consume the firefighters, trapping them in the building. That's when a brave group of toddlers stepped up to the plate, entering the warehouse and leading the firefighters to safety in a daring rescue mission. The toddlers, Eddie, Wendy, Jimmy, and Susie, had been playing near the warehouse when the fire started, and decided to investigate after hearing the commotion. Upon entering, they saw the firefighters in trouble and sprung into action. The warehouse was quickly consumed in flames, but the heroic toddlers managed to get the firefighters out in the nick of time. The firefighters, in turn, thanked the little ones and offered them a ride back home in their fire truck. The grateful townsfolk have already declared a day in honor of the courageous toddlers, who will receive recognition for their bravery and quick thinking. When asked how they had the courage to enter a blazing inferno, the toddlers simply replied, "It was the right thing to do." Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Can you tell me what you saw, Jeb?
Well, I saw a local barber getting a close shave from a police officer.
Whoa, that's certainly bizarre. What was going on?
Well, it turns out the barber was accused of a crime, and the police officer was trying to get a confession. They were having a barbering session, I guess, to loosen up the barber's lip, so to speak.
Interesting. So, did the police officer get a confession out of the barber?
No, not really. I think the barber was just really enjoying the shave.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
Jackson Jones, a 25-year-old gamer from Springfield, shocked the video game community when he claimed to have beaten the end boss of Super Smash Bros. Without powering on his Nintendo Switch console. According to Jones, who is known for his unorthodox gaming techniques, he was able to defeat the boss by using his mind powers. "I've been practicing telekinesis for years," explained Jones. "And I figured, why not see if I can beat this boss without using my hands?" In a video that Jones posted to his YouTube channel, he can be seen staring intently at his Nintendo Switch while making strange hand motions. A few moments later, the boss character suddenly explodes on the screen, and Jones is declared the winner. The video has since gone viral, with many gamers calling Jones a fraud and others hailing him as a video game mastermind. Regardless of whether or not Jones's claim is true, one thing is for sure, he has left the video game world scratching its head and wondering what other outrageous feats he will accomplish in the future.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
Thunder rumbles, lightning strikes the sky is dark with ominous might, the wind howls like 1,000 banshees as if warning of impending atrocities, the rain pours down in relentless force flooding streets and buildings, a deadly course nature's fury is unleashed in this hour, a tempestuous display of its terrible power, but fear not, For in this fierce tempest lies a hidden strength, a power to contest, embrace the chaos and harness its might, for in darkness, there is always a glimmer of light.
John, Mark and James were apprehended by police after robbing a local bank on Elm Street. But what officers noticed during their arrest was that the bank, instead of being in disarray and chaos, was incredibly clean and well kept. Upon further questioning, the three men revealed that they were impressed by the bank's cleanliness and decided to return the money as a gesture of goodwill. Police officers were skeptical at first, but upon verifying the money, it was clear that it was genuine. John, Mark, and James were released with just a stern warning, and the bank thanked them for their unexpected kindness. Caroline Johnson surprised all of her local friends and family this week, claiming the title of Queen of Street Parking in the small town of Baker City. The feat of causing amazed onlookers to take pictures and videos of her impressive parking job spanned the entire week, as people stopped and watched her park her car in the most unbelievable of spaces. One witness, John Miller, had this to say: "It was like she was precision driving. It's a good thing the car she was driving was so small, she managed to fit it into some spots I couldn't believe were possible." Caroline even gained the admiration of the police department, who issued a statement saying, "We've never seen anyone with such skill and accuracy in the art of street parking." It looks like Caroline has created a name for herself in the city of Baker, and perhaps beyond. If you spot her driving around town, you know she is surely the queen of street parking.
For many, the thought of swimming with a school of seahorses is a far-fetched fantasy, but for Queen Agatha of Gramavia, it's just another morning exercise routine. In a very strange and yet mesmerizing sight, the Queen was observed swimming laps with a dozen pet seahorses around her in a crystal-clear pool on the palace grounds. Palace attendants lined the surrounding area and couldn't quite believe their eyes. Queen Agatha maintained a steady and calculated pace, continuously clocking laps as the seahorses followed along, swimming circles around her as if they shared an unspoken understanding. While rumors circle the palace grounds, no one can be certain as to how the Queen acquired these brightly colored aquatic creatures or how they choose to follow her so devotedly. One palace attendant said, "It's like something straight out of a fairy tale. It's a bit creepy, but it's also very beautiful." In a bizarre turn of events, Julia Smith claims her cat, Mr. Snuggles, has the ability to predict the future. According to Smith, Mr. Snuggles has predicted every major event in her life, from her promotion at work to her recent breakup with her boyfriend. Smith says that the cat starts meowing loudly and running in circles around her feet right before something big happens. She even claims that Mr. Snuggles predicted the outcome of the recent presidential election. While skeptics remain unconvinced, Smith is determined to prove Mr. Snuggles' skills to the world. She has set up a YouTube channel, Mr. Snuggles Predicts, where she shares videos of her cat's predictions. The channel has already gained a cult following, with fans eagerly anticipating Mr. Snuggles' next prediction. Despite the overwhelming evidence of Mr. Snuggles' talent, some locals are unsettled by the idea of a psychic cat. One neighbor commented, "It's just not natural. What's next, a dog that can read minds?" Regardless, Julia Smith and Mr. Snuggles show no sign of slowing down and continue to share their weird and wonderful gift with the world. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Jeb, tell us what you saw that has surprised everyone.
Well, I was at the grocery store, and when I got to the pasta aisle, I noticed a box of spaghetti with a label that said the secret ingredient was unicorn tears.
Unicorn tears? That's definitely something not seen in your typical box of spaghetti. Does it say what the benefit of using these tears are?
Well, the label said that they're used to season the pasta with a hint of magic.
That's definitely something that a lot of people wouldn't expect to find in their pasta. What are your thoughts on the matter?
Personally, I think it's great that a company is willing to be creative and think outside the box. I'm sure it will be a hit with kids who love the idea of magic.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a never-before-seen innovation in the gaming industry, the upcoming game Brain Quest has partnered with a medical equipment company to use MRI technology to control the movement of the game's characters. Players wear an advanced EEG headset and lay down inside an MRI machine while playing the game. The headset picks up their brainwaves and translates them into specific movements for the in-game characters. The game's creator, Dr. Emily Johnson, stated that Brain Quest is not only fun, but can also serve as a form of therapy for patients suffering from neurological disorders as it helps improve their cognitive function. "We wanted to create a game that not only entertains, but also helps people," said Dr. Johnson. The game has already received accolades from the gaming and medical communities and is expected to be a huge hit when it is released later this year.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
As the clouds roll in and the winds pick up, it can be easy to feel afraid. But don't let fear control you. Embrace the storm and let its power fuel your inner strength. Let the lightning strike through your veins and the thunder shake your soul. Remember, the darkest skies bring the brightest lightning. So go out there and conquer the storm. You are the lightning that will strike fear into the hearts of others. And as the rain pours down, take comfort in the fact that you are not alone in the darkness. The storm is always watching, always waiting, and always hungry. Let it consume you, for only in the storm can we truly be free.
We've come to the end of today's top stories. Join us next time, when we'll be reporting from outer space, with the help of our alien friend, Bob. Good evening, Rita. Did you know that today is National Donut Day?
Of course I did, Rex. It's all over the internet. You're a little late to the party.
Well, excuse me for not spending all day scrolling through my feed like you do.
I don't scroll all day, Rex. I have a life outside of work.
Sure. I bet you spent the entire day planning out your donut eating strategy.
Ha! As if. I don't need a strategy. I just eat them as they come.
Well, that explains a lot.
Excuse me? What's that supposed to mean, Rex?
Nothing. I'm just saying that maybe you should plan your donut intake a little better.
I'll have you know, Rex, that I am a donut eating pro. I don't need any help from you.
Okay. I believe you. Let's just get on with the news, shall we? In a bizarre incident, John Smith from Smalltown, USA claims that after being struck by lightning, he has the ability to transform into a pineapple. According to Smith, he was walking his dog during a thunderstorm when he felt a sudden jolt of electricity shoot through his body. At first, I thought I was going to die, Smith told reporters. But then I started feeling really strange, and before I knew it, I was turning into a pineapple. Smith says that he can transform back into his human form at will, but the process is painful and exhausting. He has since become somewhat of a local celebrity, with people coming from all over just to see him transform. Scientists are skeptical of Smith's claims, stating that there is no scientific evidence to support the idea of humans turning into pineapples. However, Smith is adamant that he is telling the truth, and is even considering taking his act on the road as a sideshow attraction. I think people would pay good money to see me transform, Smith said. Who wouldn't want to see a man turn into a pineapple? James Johnson, a local resident, has claimed to have unlocked the secret to eternal life. Johnson, who stumbled upon the secret while gardening, is now sharing the secret with the neighborhood squirrels. Johnson claims that he has been communicating with the squirrels through a series of chirps and movements, and they have agreed to become the guardians of the secret. When asked to reveal the secret, Johnson stated that he could not jeopardize the trust of the squirrels and would only share it with those who had proven themselves to be worthy. However, it was later discovered that Johnson's secret to eternal life was simply eating a diet of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. Johnson's claim to have communicated with the neighborhood squirrels was also debunked when it was revealed that he had been feeding them his sandwich crusts. Despite the disappointing revelation, the neighborhood continues to support Johnson's quest for immortality and his friendship with the local squirrel population.
Yesterday, the highly congested streets of Eastern City were sent into chaos when a small grey squirrel appeared out of nowhere and ran across the street directly in front of a bus full of commuters. Upon seeing the squirrel, the bus driver, Mrs. Daisy Jones, immediately slammed on the brakes, bringing the bus and all the cars behind it to a screeching halt. Motorists honked, shook their fists, and waved their arms in frustration. The frustrated commuters eventually called the Eastern City Police Department and the officers quickly arrived on scene. Much to their surprise, the squirrel had disappeared and there was absolutely no sign of him anywhere. After a futile investigation, the police had no choice but to give up on the search and let the motorists go about their day. At this point, nobody knows who the squirrel is or how he was able to suddenly appear and disappear, but one thing is for certain. This particular squirrel has been causing a lot of commotion in Eastern City, and it looks like he's still out there somewhere. Tyler Smith, an amateur cyclist, wowed spectators and event organizers alike when he won a local cycling event by going completely backwards. Smith, 20, claims he only decided to try the unique tactic minutes before the race began, but it certainly paid off as he ended up crossing the finish line over 10 seconds ahead of the competition. But upon closer inspection, race officials noticed something strange. Smith was actually going forwards, just traveling across the track in reverse. When asked why he would take such an unorthodox approach, Smith replied, "It just felt like the right thing to do at the time, and it obviously worked out for me." The resulting victory has already made him a bit of a celebrity, with many calling him a genius. Smith himself is taking it all in stride, saying, I'm just happy that I got the chance to prove that backwards can be victorious too. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Jeb, can you tell us what you saw when this mysterious alien visitation arrived?
Well, I saw a ship come in right above my house. There were no passengers, just a bright light that lit up the entire sky. It was pretty amazing.
What happened after that?
Well, the lights suddenly went out and the ship just left. We were all expecting some kind of contact, but unfortunately nothing ever happened. We were all left feeling pretty disappointed.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a stunning feat of endurance and video game prowess, fictional character Billy Johnson has broken the world record for the longest continuous video game session. Johnson played the popular role-playing game Dungeon Explorers for 72 hours straight, surviving solely on a diet of energy drinks and pizza. Johnson's journey began on a Friday morning at his local GameStop, where he purchased the latest expansion pack for Dungeon Explorers. Armed with his trusty gaming chair, a stack of newly purchased energy drinks, and a few large pizza pies, Johnson set out to break the world record. As the hours ticked by, Johnson's gameplay became increasingly erratic. He began hallucinating and mistook his in-game enemies for real-life threats. At one point, he even tried to attack the imaginary monsters with his gaming controller. Despite the challenges, Johnson persevered and broke the world record on Sunday morning. His feat has been recognized by the Guinness World Records, and he has become an icon in the gaming community. When asked about his experience, Johnson stated, "It was tough, but I never gave up. I couldn't have done it without my energy drinks and pizza. They were my sustenance and my motivation. I feel like I can conquer anything now."
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves for one of the most life-changing weather events of the year. The skies are dark and foreboding, the wind is howling, and the rain is coming down in sheets. But do not cower in fear, for you are strong and resilient. Embrace the storm, let it wash away your weaknesses and doubts. For in the face of danger, you will find true strength. Remember, when the lightning strikes and the thunder roars, you are not alone, you are a part of something greater than yourself. Let this storm be a reminder that you are alive and that you will survive. So go out there, face the storm head on, and revel in its power. And always remember, when the storm passes, you will emerge transformed, ready to face any challenge that comes your way.
In a stunning upset, the small town of Paussville, population 500, has elected a golden retriever named Fido as their new mayor. Fido ran under the slogan "A bone in every bowl, a squirrel in every tree." The town's residents were initially skeptical of Fido's candidacy, but he quickly won them over with his friendly demeanor and fetching skills. However, things took a surprising turn when it was revealed that Fido's campaign manager, a disgruntled cat named Mittens, had rigged the election in his favor. Mittens, who had been passed over for the role of mayor, had orchestrated a complex plan involving fake voter registrations and ballot stuffing. When confronted with the evidence, Mittens broke down in tears and confessed to the whole scheme. Fido, rather than being impeached, graciously forgave Mittens and appointed him as his chief of staff. The town is now buzzing with excitement over what kind of animal will run for office next. At a city council meeting today, city manager Tom Smith was pleased to announce that Mayor Bob Jones had finally been given the long-awaited go-ahead to proceed with his plan to build a bridge that will span the city. The project, which is estimated to cost the city $45 million, will connect the north and south sides of the city for the first time in history. Mayor Jones has been a staunch advocate of the project since his election 2 years ago, but has faced significant opposition from some city council members. Finally, however, the city council has decided to trust Mayor Jones and allow his plan to move forward. Local residents are eagerly awaiting the completion of the bridge, which is expected to be completed within the next 2 years. Mayor Jones is delighted to finally have the support of the city council for his vision of connecting the city with this unique project. It was a daring feat of ingenuity, if not an illegal one. Last night, prisoners Frank Abbott, Charlie Lewis, and Thomas Smith managed to escape from the Westgate jail in a canoe. The 3 inmates rowed the small vessel away from the jail, which sits by the ocean, and made their way to a nearby rocky island. Their escape went unnoticed by the guards, likely because the jail was already in disarray with the repairs being made to the cells and guards' quarters. Once the trio arrived on the island, they stayed there until morning when the authorities arrived to launch a search and rescue mission. Unfortunately, they were too late. The prisoners were gone. As the head of Westgate Jail said in his statement, it seems they made a great escape in their ocean-going canoe.
Gina and Matt Anderson had no idea what to expect when they ventured into their basement after hearing strange noises coming from there for the past 2 weeks. When they entered the dimly lit space, they were shocked to find dozens of glowing stones scattered across the floor. When we first saw them, we were completely taken aback. We had no idea what we were looking at, Matt said. When the couple investigated further, they discovered that the stones were actually silver-colored pebbles that had been touched by lightning and were emanating a faint, blue light. They were also warm to the touch and emitted a calming energy. After a few days of research, the Andersons discovered that the stones had the ability to cure any type of physical ailment and that they had a mysterious power to heal mental and emotional issues as well. The Andersons are now in the process of sharing their findings with scientists and medical professionals across the country in order to bring these miraculous stones to the world. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Tell me, Jeb, what did you witness that day?
Well, I was standing there when a man suddenly grew 7 new limbs out of nowhere. It was a complete medical mystery.
Do you happen to know who the man was or why this happened?
No, I didn't know who he was, and I'm not sure why he suddenly grew the new limbs either.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a remarkable feat of video gaming, local resident John Smith broke the world record for the longest continuous game of Tetris last night, racking up an impressive 87 hours of gameplay without taking a break. Smith, who subsisted on a diet of Red Bull and pizza during the marathon gaming session, reported only minor hand cramps and eye strain as side effects of his incredible accomplishment. When asked how he managed to maintain such a high level of focus and stamina for so long, Smith revealed that he had been practicing for this moment for months. "I trained by playing Tetris for at least 12 hours a day," he said. "I also spent a lot of time meditating and visualizing the perfect game, so I was mentally prepared for anything." Smith's record-breaking game was closely monitored by a team of video game adjudicators, who recorded every move he made and ensured that he adhered to all official Tetris rules and regulations. Fans from around the world tuned in to watch the action live streamed on Twitch, cheering Smith on as he smashed the previous record by a full 5 hours. When asked what his next challenge might be, Smith chuckled and said, "I'm thinking of tackling Donkey Kong next. I've already got a strategy mapped out in my head." With his boundless energy and passion for pushing the limits of video gaming, there's no doubt that John Smith will continue to amaze us with his incredible feats of skill and endurance for years to come.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
The storm is coming, my friends. But do not fear, for it is a storm of opportunity. A chance for us to show our strength and resilience in the face of danger. Let the thunder be your battle cry, let the lightning be your guide. For in this storm, we shall prove ourselves worthy of survival. And remember, every cloud has a silver lining, but in this case, that silver lining might just be the razor-sharp edge of a hailstone.
We've come to the end of today's top stories. Join us next time, when we'll be reporting from outer space, with the help of our alien friend, Bob. Good evening, Rita. Did you change the teleprompter speed again? It's too fast.
No, Rex, I put it back to the regular speed. Maybe you're just getting old and can't keep up.
Ha ha, very funny, Rita. You know I don't like it when the words go flying by like that.
Oh, come on, Rex, it's not that hard. Just read faster.
I'll have you know I'm a professional news anchor. I don't need any help reading the news.
Of course, Rex, you're an expert in everything. Maybe we should adjust the teleprompter for your ego instead.
Superheroes all around the world have united to take on an alien threat of unprecedented scale. After an alien race known as the Reptoids invaded the Earth, superheroes came together and began to strategize, planning to repel the invasion and protect Earth from the Reptoids' destruction. Led by a team of the world's strongest and bravest superheroes, they have formed a powerful team called the Galactic Defenders. With their combined might, the Galactic Defenders have been able to push back the Reptoid forces with great success. The Galactic Defenders have quickly become renowned for their heroism and daring deeds and have been lauded for their efforts in saving the Earth from certain destruction.
John Simmons knew something was different when he awoke from minor surgery. After losing consciousness, he felt a chip embedded deeply in his brain that caused intense flashbacks to his previous life. Recounting the details of lost memories, Simmons believes he once resided in what he described as a vivid and colorful faraway world before entering his current existence. Scientists are baffled, as the microchip was not inserted by medical professionals, leaving questions as to its authenticity. Meanwhile, Simmons is an advocate for its use, claiming he has greater clarity and perspective than ever before. He is attempting to collect data from more individuals to understand the scope of the device's implications. The small community of scientists and spiritualists around Simmons are committed to pushing the boundaries of the unknown, attempting to find clarity and purpose in a seemingly unknown technology. With no tangible conclusions from the device, many are left feeling uneasy yet deeply intrigued. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
So Jeb, tell me about this extraordinary event you saw.
Well, I was just looking up into the night sky and I saw an aardvark flying around in outer space. It was moving incredibly fast and looked like it was having a great time.
That is incredible. How long did you watch it for?
I watched it for a few minutes before it eventually flew off out of sight. It was really a sight to behold.
How did its flight look? Did it appear to be under some kind of control?
Well, it looked pretty random to me. It seemed like it was just zipping around without any particular pattern. It certainly didn't appear to be under any kind of control.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
A local man, Bob, was found unresponsive in his home after playing video games for 72 straight hours. When emergency services arrived, they found Bob still holding a controller and staring blankly at the TV screen. Authorities were forced to use bolt cutters to remove the controller from Bob's hands, but even that didn't snap him out of his trance. Doctors say that Bob's brain has become so addicted to the virtual world that it's now permanently stuck there. His family is devastated and has been unable to communicate with him since the incident. Bob's wife, Sally, says that she knew his gaming was getting out of control, but she never thought it would lead to this. The local community is reeling from the news and many are calling for stricter regulation of video games to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. This tragic case serves as a warning to all gamers to be mindful of their time spent in front of screens.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
Behold! The sky turns black as night, the wind howls like 1,000 wolves, and the rain falls like the tears of the gods. Lightning crackles like whips in the sky, and thunder roars like the war drums of demons. The storm rages on with no end in sight, leaving chaos and destruction in its wake. The earth trembles with fear, and the seas churn with anger. This is no ordinary storm, but a beast of madness and fury beyond human comprehension. And in the midst of it all, a solitary figure stands, fearless and defiant. For in the face of such horror, there is only one thing to do. Embrace the darkness, and become one with the storm.
Douglas Bingham was out fishing in the local lake when he spotted something unusual in the water. As he got closer he realized it was a woman, Sally Moore, desperately trying to stay afloat. Douglas quickly pulled her out of the lake and then phoned the authorities. The police have since confirmed that the woman had been swimming in the lake for hours, unable to get out due to an unfortunately placed large fishing hook. When asked what led her to take such a drastic plunge, Sally said that she was participating in a charity event where she was to raise money by swimming the lake's perimeter. Fortunately, thanks to Douglas' timely intervention, Sally was rescued and the local authorities awarded him with a certificate of appreciation for his heroic efforts. When asked about the experience, Douglas simply shrugged, saying, "I guess you can say I was hooked on doing a good deed."
In an unusual turn of events, local man Frank Johnson claims he has been possessed by a ghost who only speaks in riddles. Johnson stated that he was alone in his house when he suddenly felt a cold breeze, and then the next thing he knew, he was being spoken to by a ghostly figure. The figure introduced itself as Riddler and informed Johnson that it was going to possess him for a while. Johnson claims that Riddler only speaks in riddles and that he has to decipher the meaning every time he talks to him. Johnson also reported that Riddler has been asking him to do strange things, such as baking a shoe or singing a lullaby to a plant. Friends and family of Johnson have expressed concern, with some suggesting he seek professional help. However, Johnson insists that Riddler is real and that he just needs more time to figure out what the ghost wants from him. The story has gained national attention, with some even suggesting that Johnson may have stumbled upon a new form of communication with the paranormal world. Two mysterious figures were caught on surveillance cameras stealing a case of enormous eggs from a local supermarket. The suspects, who have been identified as 44-year-old Andre Tate and 42-year-old Amanda Weber, entered the store carrying massive burlap sacks. They proceeded to grab a grocery basket filled with the oversized eggs and then sprinted out the front entrance with their mysterious bounty. Store security chased the two suspects for several blocks but quickly lost them in an alleyway. When the store manager viewed the video footage to investigate the bizarre theft, he was shocked to see the pair had stolen eggs that were about the size of footballs. Police are still searching for the two criminals and are asking anyone with information to come forward. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Jeb, tell us what you saw earlier today.
Well, I was just out walking, and I looked up and saw a sheep soaring through the sky. It was absolutely amazing.
Wow. That must have been quite a sight. How did it seem to be flying?
It seemed like it was controlling its movements very well. It was flying in circles, swooping up and down, and even gliding for a few seconds. It was incredible.
Incredible indeed. Do you think the sheep could fly for a long time?
Yeah, it seemed like it could fly for quite a while. It was in the air for at least 5 minutes. It was amazing.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a bizarre turn of events, local gamer, Johnny Johnson, has broken the world record for playing a video game for the longest amount of time without taking a break. Johnson spent 100 hours straight playing the popular game, Zombie Apocalypse Simulator 3000, without sleep or food. When asked about his achievement, Johnson stated, "I just couldn't stop. The zombies were coming at me at every turn and I had to keep fighting." Johnson's girlfriend, Sarah, who supported him throughout the insane venture, remarked, "I don't know how he did it. He was hallucinating by the end of it and kept muttering about needing to save the world from the zombie apocalypse." Despite concerns from doctors about the potential physical and mental toll from the stunt, Johnson plans to continue his efforts to break even more world records in the video gaming world.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
It's another dreary day, folks. I mean, what else is new, am I right? Here in our lovely city, we're experiencing some pretty strange weather today. I mean, I've seen some weird stuff in my day, but this takes the cake. We've got clouds that look like pink elephants, rain that smells like cotton candy, and thunder that sounds like a mariachi band. And that's just the beginning. Our temperature gauge is broken today, so I can't even tell you how hot or cold it is. It could be freezing, it could be boiling. Who knows? Not me, that's for sure. And don't even get me started on the wind. It's blowing in all different directions at once. North, south, east, west, you name it, the wind is doing it. So if you're planning on going outside today, just be prepared for anything. And I mean anything. You might get rained on by lemonade, or hit in the face with a snowball made of feathers. Anything is possible in this weather. Stay safe out there, folks.
We've come to the end of today's top stories. Join us next time, when we'll be reporting from outer space, with the help of our alien friend, Bob. Good evening, folks. Welcome to our news show.
Why do you always get to start the show, Rex?
Because I'm the more experienced anchor, Rita.
Oh, please. I've been doing this for just as long as you have.
Sure, but I've won 2 Emmys, remember?
And I've won a Peabody Award. So there.
Touché, Rita. Touché. In a stunning upset victory, farmer John Smith has been awarded the prestigious Golden Plow Trophy for his exceptional plowmanship. Despite tough competition from veteran plowers and up-and-coming plowers alike, Smith's unique technique and dedication to his craft impressed the judges. "I'm just ecstatic," said Smith as he accepted the award. "I never thought I'd be recognized for my plowmanship, but it just goes to show that hard work and a lot of tractor time really pay off." Smith plans to continue honing his skills and hopes to defend his title next year. In a shocking turn of events, aliens from a distant planet have landed on Earth and are demanding to speak to the president of Wakanda. In a statement released to the media, the aliens claim that they have been studying Earth for years and have determined that Wakanda is the most advanced and intelligent nation on the planet. They have requested a meeting with the president of Wakanda and have even threatened to destroy the planet if their demands are not met. The United Nations has called an emergency meeting to discuss the situation, while the president of Wakanda has yet to comment on the matter. Scientists and experts around the world are skeptical of the aliens' claims, but have urged caution, stating that it is better to be safe than sorry. Stay tuned for updates on this breaking story.
In a bizarre turn of events, local resident John has claimed to have trained his pet goldfish, Bobby, to play poker. John stated that he started the training process a year ago with simple card games and gradually built up to more advanced moves. Bobby seemed to pick up the game quickly and was soon able to bluff and raise with the best of them. John took Bobby to a high-stakes game at a local casino last night, and the goldfish shocked everyone by winning the entire pot of $100,000. Casino security was called to investigate but found no evidence of cheating and had to reluctantly pay out the winnings. When asked about his next move, John stated that he was planning to enter Bobby in the World Series of Poker next year. Bobby the goldfish remains silent on the matter. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we bring you a story about a man who managed to do the unthinkable. Our on-site witness, Jeb, is here to tell us what happened. Jeb, could you tell us more about this?
Sure. So, I was at a yard sale in the neighborhood when this man walked in and started taking out items from a big box. He was looking through them, asking people to make offers, and he ended up selling a few things. But then to my shock, I noticed that the item he was holding was an old photo of his grandmother.
So it looks like he accidentally sold his grandmother's old photograph?
Yes, that's right. He was completely oblivious to what he was doing and ended up selling her photo for only a few bucks. Everyone around was just stunned.
This just goes to show that you have to be extra careful when you're out there selling your things, and make sure that you've looked through everything before you put it up for sale. Thank you for your time, Jeb. You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
Gamers across the world have been eagerly anticipating the upcoming video game Advance Wars, which is set to be released next week. Developed by the renowned video game company, Escobar Studios, this game is promising to be their most ambitious game to date. Advance Wars is a real-time strategy game set in a post-apocalyptic world featuring destructible environments and tactical battles. Players take control of a team of military personnel and must complete missions and objectives by outsmarting their opponents in intense battles. The game features diverse characters, each with their own upgradable skills and abilities. Creative director Steve Smith said, "We wanted to make sure our characters are realistic and relatable to the players." The game will also include multiple narrative paths, so players can experience a unique adventure every time they play. In anticipation of its release, Escobar Studios released a teaser trailer showcasing the game's unique art design and intense battles. It has become the talk of the gaming community, and the internet has been filled with rumors and speculation about the eventual release of the game. It is looking to be a very exciting week for gamers, and the hype around Advance Wars is palpable.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
Good evening, everyone. Today's weather is unlike any other that we have seen before. Dark, ominous clouds loom overhead, and the wind is howling with a fervor unlike any other. The lightning dances across the sky, and the thunder roars with a terrifying intensity. This is no ordinary storm, it is a force to be reckoned with. But fear not, for in the face of this chaotic weather lies an opportunity for growth and strength. With each strike of lightning, embrace the fear that washes over you. Let it fill you with a renewed sense of power. Let the wind whip at your face, and feel the strength that lies within you. This storm is not here to defeat us, but rather to make us stronger. So let us embrace this moment, let us harness the power that lies within this chaotic weather, and let us emerge from this storm stronger than ever before.
In this year's annual tomato growing competition, held in the small town of Greensville, farmer John put his perfect technique to the test and came out on top. John has been raising and growing tomatoes for over 30 years, but it wasn't until he introduced his pet cat Mittens to the process that he started winning awards. According to John, Mittens has a remarkable talent for detecting which tomatoes are ripe for the picking. Each morning when John heads to the fields, his feline companion follows him and meows insistently until he chooses a tomato for her to inspect. If Mittens nods her head in approval, John knows he has found a winner. The judges of the tomato competition were skeptical at first, but after sampling John's award-winning heirlooms, they were convinced of the perfect technique's effectiveness. John and Mittens can now enjoy their well-earned success, and are already planning to expand their operation with a new feline assistant, Fluffy.
John had always felt a special connection to squirrels, but he never knew just how deep that connection ran until one day, while picnicking in the park, a squirrel approached him and spoke. From that moment on, John could communicate with squirrels. He immediately quit his job and started a business selling acorn jewelry, claiming that the squirrels themselves helped him design the pieces. The jewelry was a hit, and John quickly became a millionaire. However, one day, a group of squirrels showed up at his doorstep demanding a cut of the profits. John refused, thinking the squirrels couldn't do anything about it. But the next day, John's house was covered in acorns, with squirrels peeking in through every window. They had taken their rightful share of the profits, and John learned to never underestimate the power of squirrel communication again. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
So Jeb, tell us what you saw this morning.
Well, it was pretty unbelievable. I was walking in the park when I saw a baby in danger from a rampaging peacock.
That sounds pretty intense. And then what happened?
Well, out of nowhere a dog came to the rescue. He ran up and actually chased the peacock away.
Wow. And did the baby make it out all right?
Oh yeah, the baby was fine. The dog even cuddled with the baby afterwards. It was so sweet.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
The world of video gaming is abuzz with the news that a new cutting-edge game, developed by game pioneer Carlos Lopez and aerospace giant Aerotech, is set to revolutionize technology in the gaming industry. At a press conference yesterday, Lopez and Aerotech CEO Alicia Patterson unveiled a game that uses advanced simulation and virtual reality technology developed by Aerotech's top research and development division. This marks the first time an industry outside of gaming has developed a game engine, and it promises to take video gaming technology to a whole new level. Lopez, who was the creative force behind the popular game, Rapture, said he was excited to be working with such advanced technology. Rapture was built with Aerotech's X3 simulation engine, which is one of the most sophisticated and complex engines ever developed for a game. Players will be able to explore a virtual world that looks and feels like a real-life environment, complete with incredibly detailed textures and objects. With the X3 engine, Lopez intends to create a realistic gaming experience that will submerge players into their own personalized, virtual world. Lopez believes this technology represents the future of gaming and already has plans to explore other possibilities for the engine in the near future. Aerotech is also exploring ways to incorporate their simulation technology into other games in the future. It is clear that the partnership between Lopez and Aerotech will have a significant impact on the gaming industry and the future of video gaming.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
As the storm clouds gather and the wind starts to howl, there's a feeling in the air that today is not like any other day. This weather is not just another weather, it's a storm that's different. As the lightning strikes and the thunder rumbles, we must remember, there's no shelter from this storm. It will find you no matter where you hide. But don't let this storm defeat you. Face it head on, with all the strength you have. Embrace its chaos and let it fuel your power. For in this storm, there is opportunity. Opportunity to let go of what's holding you back and emerge stronger and more powerful than ever before. And when the storm finally passes and the skies clear, you will know that you have conquered the storm, and you will stand tall, a force to be reckoned with. For the storm has shown you that you are unstoppable. Horror motivational phrase, let the storm be your guide, and your enemies beware.
We've come to the end of today's top stories. Join us next time, when we'll be reporting from outer space, with the help of our alien friend, Bob. Good evening, folks. I'm Rex, and I'm here with the lovely Rita.
Good evening, Rex. Why, thank you for the kind compliment. You're looking pretty sharp yourself.
Well, we can't both be the best dressed in the room.
Oh, really, Rex? I think we can both agree that I'm the most stylish one here.
I don't know about that, Rita. Have you seen your shoes? They look like they're from the 90s.
Hey, these shoes are vintage. They're coming back in style.
Vintage? More like outdated, Rita. But hey, I guess you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Excuse me, Rex, but I am not an old dog. And even if I were, I'd still be more fashionable than you.
Touché, Rita. I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. Randy Rice was definitely not bluffing when he arrived at the poker table last night. The local poker player made quite an impression on the other players when he began to raise the stakes with his bold and confident moves. Everyone's jaws dropped when Randy began to show his cards, and it quickly became clear he was going to take home the pot. One of the other players, Larry Lucky, couldn't believe his luck when Randy decided not to make a play for the pot. I thought for sure he had the winning hand, Larry said, but Randy was too smart for that and I had to fold. It looks like Randy Rice will be playing in the big leagues soon, and something tells us he'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Panic filled the streets of Townsville this morning as giant marshmallows descended from the skies. Residents reported that the marshmallows, ranging in sizes from 10 to 50 feet tall, had seemingly come out of nowhere and were wreaking havoc on the city. One witness told the press that he had seen the marshmallows eating cars and knocking down buildings while they hopped around the streets. Firefighters attempted to contain the marshmallows with hoses, but the sugary tree proved immune to water. Local elected officials are working to come up with a plan to get rid of the marshmallows, but as of now the city is in a state of chaos. Townsville citizens are being advised to stay inside until the marshmallows have been safely removed. Scientists John Smith and Bill Jones, of the University of Kansas, have recently made an unexpected discovery. After months of study and experimentation, their findings are in plants have ears. As the team explains, their research reveals that certain types of plants can and do respond to sound waves. Explaining their methodology, Smith stated, "We set out to test plant reactions to sound waves by playing different types and volumes of sound to various specimens. We were astonished to find that they would react, albeit subtly, to the higher frequencies we were playing." Jones added, "It's possible that this could explain why plants seem to grow better when exposed to classical music." For now, however, the team is focusing their research on how plants respond to other forms of sound and vibration. Their surprising findings have left many people wondering, and green with envy, at their success.
Bob Smith had been expecting a package from a distant relative in California, but what he received in the mail that day was truly bizarre. Inside the brown cardboard box was a peculiar contraption made of brass and steel. Attached to it was a note that read, "Bob, I hope this invention of mine will bring the same kind of excitement and pleasure to your life that it has brought to mine. To make things even better, be sure to spin the gears every day, that's when the magic happens, Jane." Bob was baffled by the package, but he decided to give it a try. After attaching the device to his windowsill, he took a deep breath and spun the gears. What happened next was inexplicable. The contraption spun faster and faster, and Bob Smith suddenly found himself in the future. There, he saw with his own eyes that he had become the most well-respected scientist of the era, credited with some of the greatest inventions of all time. When he returned to the present, he vowed to use his newfound knowledge and resources to bring a brighter future to the world. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
So Jeb, tell us what you saw when movie star Bob crossed the finish line?
Well, it was quite a sight. Everyone was cheering for Bob and he was doing this crazy victory dance. He was wearing a sparkly sequin tuxedo and shouting "movie star." It was quite a spectacle.
That is definitely something. Is there anything else you can tell us about Bob's victory celebration?
Well, I saw some people throwing confetti and one guy even had a boom box playing a victory-themed song. It was pretty wild.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a surprising turn of events, local man, Mike Johnson, has become the world champion at cleaning virtual windows in the popular video game Fable 3. Johnson, who previously struggled to even navigate through the game, discovered his affinity for window cleaning after accidentally entering a window washing minigame. Johnson spent hours perfecting his window washing technique, utilizing every tool and technique at his disposal to achieve a spotless finish. After weeks of practice, Johnson entered into the Fable 3 Virtual Window Washing Championship, where he faced off against the top players from around the world. The competition was fierce, with contestants battling it out in various locations throughout the game's virtual world. But Johnson's precision and dedication to his craft paid off, as he emerged as the victor, much to the shock and confusion of the gaming community. Johnson credits his success to his real-life experience as a janitor, stating, "Cleaning windows was always my favorite part of the job, so when I found out I could do it virtually, I knew it was my calling." Johnson has since retired from competitive gaming to focus on window cleaning, both in the virtual world and in the real world. He hopes that his success will inspire others to find joy and purpose in the mundane tasks of everyday life.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
The winds are picking up and the skies are darkening. It's easy to feel apprehensive and scared, but don't be. This weather is a reminder of the power of nature, and the strength that is within each of us. Embrace the fear and let it drive you forward. The pounding rain will wash away everything you don't need, leaving you refreshed and ready for anything. So stand strong, face the storm head on and conquer your fears. Only the strongest will survive this storm. The calm after the storm may bring new beginnings, but we all know that every storm returns eventually. Use this storm as a lesson to never let your guard down. Because when the next one hits, you must be ready. Are you ready?
Farmer Fergus was out tending to his fields in the hot summer sun when he was visited by a most unexpected guest. A wandering stranger carrying an old leather satchel offered Fergus a fortune in exchange for a small patch of his land. After much debate and deliberation, Farmer Fergus finally accepted the offer and received the satchel, which contained an unbelievable amount of coins and jewels. Once the stranger had gone, Fergus anxiously opened the bag, and was amazed to discover that the generous offer was truly a wonderful windfall. His life changed overnight, with Farmer Fergus going from a humble till of dirt to a millionaire overnight. In a surprising turn of events, Tom Johnson from small-town USA has won the World Series of Sitting. The competition, which usually involves sitting in a chair for the longest amount of time, took an unexpected turn when Johnson decided to take a bathroom break during hour 7. Rather than forfeiting the competition, Johnson brought his entire chair and toilet with him, setting a new record for the longest bathroom break during a sitting competition. "I couldn't believe it when he walked back in with the whole toilet," said one of the judges. "We had to consult the rulebook to see if this was allowed, but ultimately we decided to let it slide." After all, he never left his chair. Johnson was awarded the grand prize of $100,000 and a plaque declaring him the world champion of sitting. When asked about his victory, Johnson simply replied, "I guess you could say I really cleaned up." Yesterday, Londoners witnessed a once-in-a-lifetime moment as a majestic unicorn was seen flying over London Bridge. According to eyewitnesses, the unicorn had a sparkly pink mane and wings that glowed in the sunlight. The unicorn flew in circles around the bridge, while crowds of people gathered to take photos and videos. Some witnesses also claimed that the unicorn released a stream of glitter from its tail as it flew, creating a mesmerizing sight. "I couldn't believe my eyes," said Emily, a local resident. "It was like something out of a fairy tale." Yet, the authorities are still scrambling to figure out how such a magical creature could appear in such a crowded area. Some are speculating that it might have slipped through a portal from another dimension. Whatever the explanation, it looks like the unicorn's appearance has left a lasting impression on the city.
In a shocking display of ability, local woman Bubbles Burbank, who grew up in the small town of Two Rivers, stunned viewers yesterday with an amazing levitating act. The stunt began in the afternoon as Bubbles, known for her eccentric and inquisitive personality, took to standing on the sidewalk of the town's main street. Crowds quickly began to form, and reports suggest that some onlookers were terrified while others were simply amazed. The event culminated in Bubbles suddenly floating up above the heads of those in the crowd and remaining there for several minutes. At one point, the levitating woman hovered around 20 feet up in the air, the highest point she reached before drifting down and softly landing back on the sidewalk. Afterward, Bubbles was unable to explain how she managed the stunt, but did say that she felt sentimental while it was happening. Many of the town's residents were both confused and amazed by the event, with some claiming it was the strangest thing that has ever happened. No one is sure what to make of the levitating woman, and it remains unclear if Bubbles will give any further explanation for her strange abilities. At first glance, patrons were excited to try the new donut-flavored lattes on offer at the neighborhood cafe. Little did they know, the lattes were made entirely of donuts. The cafe had managed to blend donuts into a latte-like consistency, creating a unique twist on the classic coffee drink. Though most found the flavor to be too sweet, there were some who could not get enough of the sugary concoction. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Hi Jeb, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us what you saw when John Joyner joined the J-Team?
Yes, sure. I saw John walking up to the J-Team's headquarters with a smile on his face. He was dressed in the official J-Team uniform and seemed very excited to be joining the team.
That's wonderful. How did the other team members react to John joining the team?
They were thrilled. Everyone was gathered outside the building to cheer him on and welcome him with open arms. It was a really heartwarming scene.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
Last night, game developer Miles Bates announced his latest title, a rooftop racer. It's been billed as an augmented reality game that pushes the boundaries of game technology. In the game, players zoom around a virtual rooftop taking on their opponents in a high-speed race. In a press conference, Miles revealed the groundbreaking technology used to power the game. Players' movements are tracked and translated into the game using technologies found in the building automation world. It is believed to be the first time this kind of technology has been used in this kind of game. While Miles was tight-lipped about future projects, he did tell reporters that he is looking forward to pushing the boundaries of what is possible in today's gaming world. With our rooftop racer being the first game of its kind, this could be the beginning of a new era in gaming.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
The weather may be the least of our worries today, my dear viewers. For as I made my way to the weather center this morning, I was accosted by a pesky group of pigeons, voraciously pecking at breadcrumbs and leaving their unmistakable waste all over my pant legs. Oh, how they cawed and flapped their wings, heedlessly disregarding my presence. And now, as I peer out the window, I can see their beady eyes following my every move, plotting their next strike. Truly, the skies are filled not only with clouds and lightning, but with feathered fiends bent on driving me to madness.
We've come to the end of today's top stories. Join us next time, when we'll be reporting from outer space, with the help of our alien friend, Bob. Good evening, folks, and welcome to tonight's news.
Why do you always have to be so over-the-top cheerful, Rex?
Well, somebody's got to bring the energy to the show.
And somebody's got to keep you in check before you scare off all our viewers with your enthusiasm.
Hey, I heard our ratings have been going up ever since I started doing the weather report in a funny hat.
That's not because of your hat, Rex. It's because the power went out for 10 minutes and people were too lazy to change the channel.
Ha, ha. Very funny, Rita. You always know how to bring me down a peg.
Someone's got to, Rex. Someone's got to.
After a heated domestic election, a beloved tabby cat named Mr. Fluffy took the reins in Washington, D.C. Mr. Fluffy, who was initially discovered in a garbage can in rural Nebraska, has been quickly catapulted to the highest office in the country. The history-making event was celebrated in a special ceremony held in the Oval Office. In his first speech as president, Mr. Fluffy promised to focus on reducing the national debt, creating jobs, and improving the quality of crusty old cat food. His platform of change has been widely praised, and he has been sworn in with overwhelming enthusiasm from the American public. Mr. Fluffy currently resides in the White House with his 2 new vice cats, and is reportedly quite pleased with his new digs. History has been made, and all paws are crossed for a successful term. When it came time to make a lucrative business deal, Mandy Moneybags was all in. The CEO of Big Box Corporation recently announced that the company was merging with the upstart company, and Mandy Moneybags, Big Box's principal investor, would be reaping the rewards. Mandy was quite pleased with the outcome of the deal. "I'm feeling pretty secure about this business venture," she remarked. "I'm sure I'll be rolling in the dough." True to her word, Mandy Moneybags is now the proud owner of a significant share of the newly merged business, making her the wealthiest woman in town. In an unexpected turn of events, President Charles, who has an infamous sweet tooth, has appointed animal rights activist Mandy to a position of the Supreme Court. Sources close to the president note that he was overly impressed with Mandy's passionate defense of the rights of chocolate-eating cows. Charles is reported to have said, "We must protect the right of cows to enjoy a sweet treat every now and then." Mandy will take her place on the bench in the coming days and is already hard at work planning a bold new agenda to defend the animal kingdom.
This afternoon, local astrophysicist Calvert Jones made an embarrassing mistake in his laboratory. Jones, who is known for his frequent contributions to the field of space exploration, initially planned to transport a sample of Martian soil to Earth for research purposes. Unfortunately, Jones accidentally loaded his ship with 100 pounds of cheese instead. Jones was quick to own up to his mistake, offering an immediate apology to his colleagues, who were only slightly annoyed. "It's understandable. Mistakes happen," shrugged Dr. Black, the head of the laboratory. The incident has now been correctly labeled as a cheese-related malfunction, and Jones has been asked to create a detailed report about the incident as well as participate in additional safety checks. Despite the misstep, Jones remains confident that he'll be able to make up for his error and is looking forward to his next mission. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
Tell me, Jeb, what did you see when you visited the local cafe?
Well, when I arrived at the cafe, I was delighted to see they had unveiled something truly amazing, donut-flavored lattes.
That sounds absolutely delicious. Was anyone else around while you were there?
Absolutely, the cafe was packed. Everyone was talking about the new donut-flavored lattes and applauding the creativity of the cafe owners.
Wow, it sounds like these lattes have become something of a sensation. Do you plan to go back and try one for yourself?
Of course. I can't wait to try one. I'm sure it will be just as amazing as everyone says it is.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a shocking turn of events, a lethal virus is sweeping the nation, all thanks to a new video game that has hit the market. The game, called Zombie Mayhem, has players take on the role of survivors in a post-apocalyptic world overrun by zombies. The catch: the game has a real-life component where players can infect their friends with a virtual virus, which then spreads to their physical bodies. According to reports, thousands of players have already been infected by this deadly virus, and hospitals are struggling to keep up with the influx of patients. One gamer, Jake Smith, reportedly spent over 24 hours straight playing Zombie Mayhem with his friends before falling ill. His symptoms included flu-like symptoms, but also bizarre hallucinations of being chased by zombies in his own home. The game's creator, a mysterious figure known only as the programmer, has remained silent on the issue, leaving gamers and concerned parents alike wondering what they can do to protect themselves. Some have even resorted to wearing hazmat suits while playing the game. In a statement released by the CDC, they warned that the virus is highly contagious and can spread through physical contact. They also advised anyone experiencing symptoms to seek medical attention immediately. The future of the gaming industry remains uncertain as officials scramble to contain this deadly outbreak.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
The sky blackens as the winds howl, thunder roars as lightning strikes the ground, torrential rains flood the streets, a tempest of destruction is unleashed upon the world, cries of fear and horror fill the air, but beware, for this is only the beginning, for when the storm subsides, a new horror will arise, embrace the darkness, for it is your destiny to be consumed by the tempest of fear and despair.
Witnesses all over Sydney were stunned this morning when an alien spaceship was clearly seen hovering over the Sydney Opera House. Reports from the scene describe the craft as a shining disc-shaped vessel with flashing blue lights. Witnesses say that the spaceship seemed to be examining the beloved landmark for several moments before zooming away at an incredible speed. Though the authorities are at a loss to explain this extraordinary phenomenon, locals are hoping that it heralds an exciting new chapter in Australia's history. In an unusual turn of events, wealthy banker Robert Bijou, known around town for his eccentric banking techniques and ostentatious style, saved a multitude of snakes from starvation. Mr. Bijou was out for a leisurely walk in his neighborhood when, much to his surprise, he came across 29 rattlesnakes that had been abandoned in a nearby field. Shocked, Mr. Bijou immediately took action and began to frantically feed the emaciated snakes with pieces of fresh vegetables and raw meat he had stored in his expensive briefcase. After nurturing the snakes for the following week, Mr. Bijou called the local animal rescue to assist in relocating the reptiles back to the wild. Surprisingly, the animal rescue team was shocked to find the snakes in such excellent health and credited Mr. Bijou's heroic efforts for their recovery. When asked why he had undertaken this remarkable act of generosity, Mr. Bijou simply replied, "It's not something one can ignore." After a brief search last week, scientists were astonished to discover an aardvark soaring through the galaxy. What was even more peculiar was that the aardvark was holding a remote control and navigating its direction. After further investigation, it was discovered that the aardvark was actually a highly sophisticated robot, created by a group of scientists to study the effects of the universe on robotic life forms.
John Smith, a local resident, has gained attention recently for his claims of being able to communicate with trees. According to Smith, he has been having conversations with his neighborhood trees for several months now. Smith reportedly spends hours talking to the trees in his backyard, asking them questions about the environment and the ecosystem. The trees, he claims, respond to him in a way that he can understand. But things took an unexpected turn when Smith's neighbors noticed that the trees in his yard had started to turn brown and die. Concerned, they called in a tree expert to investigate. Upon inspection, the expert found that the trees had been deliberately poisoned with a pesticide. It turns out that the trees Smith had been talking to had been plotting their own revenge against humans for years, and had manipulated Smith into poisoning their rivals. When Smith learned of the trees' true intentions, he was shocked and horrified. The police were called, and the trees were removed from Smith's property. Smith is currently undergoing therapy for his trauma and has pledged never to speak to trees again. Residents of the small town of Millfield were stunned yesterday when local woman, Clara, accurately predicted the lunch orders of every patron at the town's diner. Witnesses report that Clara walked into the diner, approached every table, and recited their entire order, down to the condiments and drinks. At first, customers were skeptical, but as each order rang true, the room fell silent in amazement. When asked about her psychic abilities, Clara stated that she had always known she was different. As a child, she could predict the weather and the outcomes of games before they happened. But it wasn't until she began practicing meditation and eating a strictly plant-based diet that her powers fully surfaced. It's said her abilities are so strong that she can even see glimpses of the future. Not everyone is excited about Clara's abilities, though. Some residents are worried that her powers are too powerful and may end up predicting tragedies before they happen. Clara has assured everyone that she will use her powers for good and that she's open to using her talents to help her community. For now, the town is just grateful for the unique lunchtime experience and excited to see what else Clara can do. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
We are here with witness Jeb to discuss what they saw when Mayor Jane Smith launched her plan for the Garden City. Jeb, can you tell us a bit about what the event was like?
Absolutely. It was an amazing event. Mayor Smith had a great plan for turning the city into a green space. There was a great crowd there who were all excited to see the plan come to life.
That sounds really exciting. What sort of specifics did Mayor Smith go into during her announcement?
She talked about revitalizing public parks, adding bike lanes and pedestrian paths, and planting more trees around the city. She also talked about laws and ordinances that would be put in place to help protect the environment.
Wow, that sounds like an ambitious plan. What was the overall reaction from the crowd?
Everyone was really enthusiastic. People were clapping, cheering, and showing their support for the mayor's plan. It was a great atmosphere.
You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
In a surprising turn of events, a local scientist, Dr. Linda Johnson, has successfully created a video game using revolutionary weather forecasting technology. The technology, normally used by meteorologists, provides real-time weather data to players in the game. Players must adapt to sudden weather changes, such as tornadoes and thunderstorms, as they navigate through the game's story. The game, called Storm Chasers, has received critical acclaim for its innovative use of technology and gameplay. Dr. Johnson credits her success to a collaborative effort with a team of meteorologists and weather experts. "I saw the potential for this technology to be used beyond just weather forecasting," said Dr. Johnson. "We were able to create a truly immersive game that puts players in the middle of severe weather events." The game has quickly gained a cult following and players are eagerly awaiting the release of new levels which promise even more extreme weather scenarios. It seems that Storm Chasers has set a new standard for video game technology and has opened up new possibilities for collaboration between industries.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
Welcome to the land of the midnight sun, or so we thought. Today's temperatures have made it feel like we are living on the surface of the sun. If you thought the sun was already hot, brace yourself because the city is turning into a melting pot. The air is so hot that it feels like we're breathing in smoke straight from a house fire. Experts believe this extreme heat is the result of global warming, but I think it's something else entirely. This wouldn't be the first time the government has tampered with the weather and caused chaos. Are they trying to cook us like a stew? I'll have more on this story as it develops.
We've come to the end of today's top stories. Join us next time, when we'll be reporting from outer space, with the help of our alien friend, Bob. Good evening, folks. I'm Rex and I'm here with Rita for tonight's news.
Hello, Rex. And just to be clear, it's Rita and Rex, not Rex and Rita.
Oh really? I'm pretty sure it's Rex and Rita, alphabetically speaking.
Yes, but that's not how you introduce people. It's always ladies first.
Well, I didn't know we were going by the outdated rules of chivalry.
It's not outdated, it's called respect. But I'm not surprised you wouldn't know anything about that.
Hey now, let's not get personal. We have a show to do. Police in the town of Pepperoni were amazed to see a group of thieves attempting to rob a local pizzeria using a giant pizza cutter, but they were foiled by the quick thinking of pizzeria owner, Don Pepperoni. When the robbers demanded the cash, Pepperoni responded by tossing a handful of flour in their faces, momentarily blinding them. Pepperoni then grabbed a nearby pizza cutter and chased the robbers out the door, yelling, "You want to play with dough? Let's play with dough." The robbers were no match for Pepperoni's pizza-making skills, and they quickly abandoned their getaway car and ran off on foot, dripping with marinara sauce. The police caught up with them a few blocks later and arrested them for attempted robbery and illegal use of a pizza cutter. Don Pepperoni is being hailed as a hero in the town, and the pizzeria has seen a surge in business from grateful customers. It just goes to show, you can't mess with a seasoned pizza maker.
In a bizarre turn of events, John Smith of Smalltown, USA has claimed to have achieved the impossible feat of training a group of goldfish to sing opera. According to Smith, he spent years studying the vocal cords of various fish species before he stumbled upon a method that worked. He reportedly started by playing operatic music for the goldfish while feeding them, and gradually began training them to hum along. Eventually, Smith claims, the goldfish started to mimic the human voice, hitting high notes and singing duets with other fish. Smith even has video footage of the goldfish performing famous operatic arias to prove it. Experts in the field are skeptical of Smith's claims, but he insists that his goldfish are the real deal and hopes to take them on tour someday. In a bizarre turn of events, Julia Smith claims her cat, Mr. Snuggles, has the ability to predict the future. According to Smith, Mr. Snuggles has predicted every major event in her life, from her promotion at work to her recent breakup with her boyfriend. Smith says that the cat starts meowing loudly and running in circles around her feet right before something big happens. She even claims that Mr. Snuggles predicted the outcome of the recent presidential election. While skeptics remain unconvinced, Smith is determined to prove Mr. Snuggles' skills to the world. She has set up a YouTube channel, Mr. Snuggles Predicts, where she shares videos of her cat's predictions. The channel has already gained a cult following, with fans eagerly anticipating Mr. Snuggles' next prediction. Despite the overwhelming evidence of Mr. Snuggles' talent, some locals are unsettled by the idea of a psychic cat. One neighbor commented, "It's just not natural. What's next, a dog that can read minds?" Regardless, Julia Smith and Mr. Snuggles show no sign of slowing down and continue to share their weird and wonderful gift with the world. Now let's go to our field reporter to see what's going on around town.
So Jeb, tell us what you saw today.
Well, I was in the royal court for the announcement and it was pretty exciting. Queen Blueberry appointed Princess Banana as the Crown Princess of the United Kingdom.
Wow, that's quite an honor. Tell us more about what happened.
The announcement was really something. Queen Blueberry made a speech and then she placed the crown on Princess Banana's head. Everyone was cheering and clapping. It was a really special moment.
That sounds like an incredible event to witness. Thanks for sharing your story with us, Jeb. You heard it here first. Now back to the studio.
Derek Johnson, a 24-year-old avid gamer from the suburbs of New York, has set a new world record for the longest uninterrupted gaming session. Johnson played his favorite video game, Zombie Apocalypse: Survival, for a whopping 72 hours straight, without taking a break. The previous record was held by Jack Thompson from San Francisco, who played for 71 hours straight in 2018. Johnson pulled off this incredible feat by preparing extensively in advance. He not only stocked up on his favorite snacks and energy drinks, but also trained his bladder to hold its contents for longer periods of time. Johnson claims that his secret weapon was a custom-built toilet seat with a built-in catheter that he used to pee directly into a nearby bucket, without interrupting his game. Johnson's endurance was tested when his mother came into his room and asked him to pause the game and come down for dinner. Johnson refused to stop playing and continued gaming even while eating, resulting in several embarrassing moments where he spilled food on his controller. Despite the challenges, Johnson successfully broke the world record, and celebrated by climbing out of his basement for the first time in 3 days. He was later rushed to the hospital for severe dehydration and an untreated bladder infection, but he says it was all worth it.
Let's see what's happening with the weather.
The skies may be dark and ominous, but don't be afraid. This is the perfect opportunity to embrace the unexpected and unleash your inner darkness. Let the thunderous roar of the storm inspire you as the lightning illuminates your deepest desires. Embrace the chaos and let it fuel your motivation. After all, what's life without a little thrill and danger? So go ahead, step out into the tempest and dance in the rain of your own darkness. The storm is your ally and together you shall triumph over the mundane world. Together you shall create a new reality, one where your deepest nightmares become your greatest strengths. The weather may be unsettling, but you are the master of your own destiny. You are the storm, and the storm is you.
On a cold winter morning, Jemima Longbottom, a resident of Zebulon, Illinois, stumbled across a strange potato while walking her hunting dog. After picking up the potato, Jemima soon discovered that it had magical powers and could make any wishes she had come true.